Hello again. I'm sure that I cannot be the only person to notice that Britain's history is being comprehensively trashed, both physically and intellectually, in order to make room for foreign people and their ideas. We were once proud of James Watt and his invention of the steam engine, which triggered the Industrial Revolution and, of course, the rise of modern civilization. In London Science Museum, a large poster has now been installed near an early steam engine, warning us that James Watt and his family benefited from investments in the Caribbean. The Industrial Revolution is itself now denigrated as having kicked off climate change. If only we could have remained in the Middle Ages. These are examples of the trashing of our history by weird ideas. The destruction of our heritage, though, is also being undertaken in a very real and physical sense. I am not, despite appearances to the contrary, old enough to remember the Second World War. I grew up in the immediate post-war years, though, starting school in the 1950s. At that time, the war was a very real thing to us. We were proud of what our country had achieved. In the playground, the most popular game for boys was Germans and English, and we all had toy soldiers of British and German forces from the conflict. Our fathers and uncles had all fought the war and saved the world from the Nazis. Films like the Dambusters were hugely popular, and every boy knew about Barnes Wallis and the bouncing bomb which took out the German dams. These things were real because we had relatives who had been in the RAF. Today, of course, that is ancient history to the new generation of politicians, especially those whose families do not even come from this country. When Suella Braverman, who is from an immigrant family and married to a foreigner into the bargain, is looking for a place to hide a couple of thousand illegal immigrants because it's lousy publicity having them living in luxury hotels, what better place to stick them than the RAF base, which used to be the headquarters of the Dambusters squadron during the war, and then later was the base for the RAF Red Arrows display team? What does any of that matter to her? Or, for that matter, the Prime Minister, whose family are from Africa and India? What do they know or care about the Dambusters or the Red Arrows? So it is that RAF Scampton, the Dambusters base, is being pulled to pieces and refashioned so that we can house 1,700 illegal immigrants there. Until a few months ago, there was one of the aeroplanes of the Red Arrows standing at the entrance to RAF Scampton as gate guard. Well, we can't have that kind of military symbol, can we, when all those asylum seekers move in? So it is that somebody decided that they could make a few bob if they sold the aeroplane. It's been removed and auctioned off. Our history is literally being disposed of. The aeroplane may be seen in the thumbnail to this video. There were at one time plans to turn the airfield into a National Heritage Site and also revive it as an airport, but that's all been scrapped now. The need to hide all those asylum seekers and stick them in the middle of the countryside where they won't be seen overrides all other considerations. RAF Scampton is in Lincolnshire. In Essex, another RAF airfield from the Second World War is also being destroyed. Spitfires flew from RAF Wethersfield, and then after the end of the war, the American Air Force was based there. There was until last year a museum at RAF Wethersfield dedicated to the history of the base, but that has now been evicted by the Home Office because they intend to turn this too into a home for hundreds of illegal immigrants. Like RAF Scampton, it's out of the way, and it might mean that there will not be adverse publicity from misbehaving asylum seekers living in hotels in seaside towns and so on. This government doesn't care in the least about British history. The fact that they are so ready to destroy those RAF bases tells us that very clearly. Would things perhaps be different if we had a Prime Minister and Home Secretary whose family had lived in this country for a few hundred years and relatives who had actually taken part in the war? I suspect so. As usual, I give links in the description to this video to what I've been talking about.